requirements for serving the Indian sugar industry as an active apex body since 1932. The sugar industry and the subject of bioethanol as an alternative fuel is very close to my heart. India consumes about 30% of the world's fossil fuel needs. We spend rupees 8 lakh crore on their imports, which accounts for 3% of the nation's total GDP. The maximum consumption of petrol and diesel as fuels, which comes to 98%, is through road transport, which emits 18% of carbon dioxide emissions in India. The diesel is a very hazardous fuel for the environment and human health. It emits about 71 kilograms of CO2 per gigajoule, which is the highest among all available fuel types. We need to discourage the use of petrol or diesel as a fuel. Our focus should be on the adoption of alternative fuels, which will be import substitute, cost effective, pollution free, and indigenous. To make this possible, I am giving a special push for ethanol as a fuel. The biggest benefit is that it is a clean fuel with very low greenhouse gas emissions, and the additional income that is generated is directly diverted to the farmers and which empowers the rural and backward economy. Ethanol can be a tool to empower our rural and backward areas where we can increase employment and bring prosperity into the lives of our farmers. India started its program for ethanol blending with petrol in 2003 but made it mandatory at 5% in 2007. After our government took charge in 2014 in the leadership of Prime Minister Modi ji, it was reintroduced with the fixed ethanol procurement pricing policy from December 2014. In 2014 only 380 million liters of ethanol was procured. With this policy and the strong push given by our government, the procurement went up to 1.9 billion liters in 18-19. From around 1% blending in 2014, the country has achieved 5% ethanol blending with petrol in the next 5 years. From 2018 onwards, the government of India has been fixing multiple prices for ethanol based on the feedstock used to produce ethanol. This encouraged diversion of B-heavy molasses and sugarcane juice into the production of ethanol. Now we have allowed the use of grains like corn, surplus rice, damaged food grains, sweet sorghum, bajra, jowar for the production of ethanol. Looking at the ethanol production capacity and its adaptability as a fuel, the government has redesigned and launched the E20 fuel program, which will ensure the use of bioethanol in 20% blend with petrol by 2025 in India. The government also calculated that to achieve 20% ethanol blending, the country will require around 10 billion liters of ethanol by 2025. Currently, the sugar industry contributes to 90% of ethanol demand as a blended fuel in the country. I keep on doing research to find ways to increase ethanol production with available resources, and one such proposal is to add 15% to 20% sugar into B-heavy molasses. In the year 2021, approximately 305 lakh metric ton of sugar was produced against the expected demand of 240 lakh metric tons, which gave an excess stock of 50 to 60 lakh metric tons. In this year, the sugarcane being a cash crop, more and more farmers are expected to boost the yield of sugarcane, and this will take up the production to 350 lakh metric tons, which will take up the excess stocks to approximately 110 lakh metric tons. To discourage overproduction of sugar, Government of India is giving annual export subsidy in the tune of rupees 3,000 to 6,000 crores last 2 years. Due to our commitments to international organizations such as WTO, this subsidy will not be permissible after December 2023. As a solution of this problem, I propose that the excess sugar stocks can be diverted towards producing ethanol by adding 15 to 20% sugar into B-heavy molasses. This will have multiple benefits. Firstly, it will utilize an excess stock of around 45 to 60 lakh metric tons of sugar and will improve the ethanol recovery by 30% due to better quality of raw material. For 15% addition of sugar into BAB molasses, an additional recovery of 335 liters per metric tons can be achieved, and for 20% addition, an additional recovery of 350 liters per metric tons can be achieved. For the pricing, the production of ethanol from sugarcane juice or syrup has been facing some problems. The same pricing of approximately ₹62 liter can be considered as an incentive for sugar millers to divert their excess sugar stocks into B-heavy molasses. On similar lines, we can also think on discouraging production of C-heavy molasses from sugar, and this will standardize the production of B-heavy molasses and will permanently lead to lesser production of sugar by 1.5% per metric ton of sugar cane. All of these steps will drastically increase the production of ethanol and can lead to a scenario where excess availability of ethanol in one state can be transported to ethanol deficient states such as Northeast and Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Our import dependence on petroleum is expected to go up to the tune of rupees 15 lakh crore in the next 5 years. Increase availability of ethanol and will directly help in introduction of flex engine, which we will soon introduce in India. The incentives which were being provided since 2018 to the molasses and sugarcane-based ethanol production has been extended to the grain-based ethanol distilleries since January 2021. This has been done to increase the production of ethanol from other than sugarcane and molasses feedstock to other raw materials like grains, corn, and the target is to get around 4 billion liters of ethanol production from grain-based distilleries. The efforts are going on for capacity expansion and the establishment of grain-based distillation plants to fulfill the additional ethanol requirement as a blending fuel. It is expected that with 100% use of 20% blend of bioethanol, we will be able to save rupees 30,000 crore on import of fossil fuels. Further, the use of ethanol blended petrol decreases emissions such as carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, and nitrogen oxides by 40% to 50%. And I have also launched a two-wheeler bike by TVS which runs on 100% bioethanol, and this can be a clean and green substitute for our huge two-wheelers demand in the country. We are planning to introduce flex fuel vehicles soon, which allow the operation of the vehicles on 100% bioethanol or 100% petrol. We also know that the same automakers are producing flex fuel vehicles in countries like Brazil, Canada, USA, and are successfully operating there. The technology is readily available. Particularly for ethanol, I always make it to a point to highlight the success story of how Brazil has managed to effectively utilize blends of ethanol and even flex engine. In Brazil, 83% of their total light vehicles are flex engines. They have a compulsory blend of 27% ethanol in petrol, which is highly commendable. Brazil is a nation with the highest ethanol consumption at 47% of autocycle fuels, and hence the complete world can adopt the Brazilian model for ethanol uptake. Ethanol's high octane level also complements gasoline and thus enables the use of lower cost blend feedstock. In a presentation given to me by Dr. Nastri, hybrid flex engine using 100% ethanol emits 77% less greenhouse gas emission as compared to Euro 6 compliant IC engines. Dr. Nastari, President of Data Agro from Brazil, who is also present on the panel today, had nicely explained how hybrid engines or flex engine with a mix of petrol, ethanol, and electric can drastically reduce vehicular greenhouse gas emissions. With committed efforts in Brazil, ethanol was able to successfully substitute 3.29 billion barrels of gasoline between 1975 to 2020, giving a net saving of $607 billion US. This is a tremendous success story. I was told that Euro 6 equivalent petrol engines emits 127 grams of carbon dioxide emissions as compared to hybrid flex ethanol based engines which emits only 29 grams, which is a 77% decreases in emissions. Therefore, the government of India is seriously working on how to increase the use of ethanol in transport sector. In my recent interaction with the Science and Technology Minister of Brazil, I was told that the Brazilian Air Force has also been using ethanol in their fighter jets. Our Prime Minister has recently launched 300% ethanol pumps, and the Petroleum Ministry is now promoting to setting up the dispensing units by private entities. Currently, the ethanol economy is rupees 20,000 crores, which I am targeting to raise to rupees 2 lakh crores. As per the study conducted by Indian Oil Corporation, the existing vehicles running on the Indian road currently can take up to 13% ethanol blended petrol without any modification in the engine and any loss in its efficiency. Accordingly, the government has fixed BIS standard for E12 and E15, which will be slowly rolled out over the next couple of years to move from the 10% blending expected to be achieved in 2022 to 20% blending by 2025. One very important area which needs research and examination is how we can successfully blend ethanol with diesel. I am told that IIT Delhi has been carrying out such a study, and we would be interested in their research and findings. I also came to know that IIT Delhi is studying the use of some kits which, if fitted in the existing engines, will allow such vehicles to run at 85% ethanol blended petrol without compromising their efficiency. This is a very interesting to see. Bioethanol can also be sustainable fuel for aviation purposes. It can provide 80% saving on greenhouse gas emission and can be blended up to 50% with conventional jet fuels without any modification. It has already been tested and approved by the Indian Air Force. With the rollout of the flex fuel vehicles on 100% bioethanol, the demand for ethanol will immediately jump by 4 to 5 times. There are several technologies and several alternative fuels in the country as well as across the world, which are at various stages of research and implementation. The government is promoting the use of clean and green alternative fuels such as methanol, biodiesel, bio-CNG, bio-LNG, HCNG, electricity and hydrogen fuel cell in addition to ethanol. Today, we are witnessing a rapid but natural growth of the electric vehicle market in the country. The government intends to have EV sales penetration of 30% for private cars, 70% for commercial vehicles, 40% for buses, and 80% for 2 and 3 wheelers by 2030. India is a power surplus nation. We have abundant solar energy which can be utilized to generate clean electricity at a very low cost. The per kilometer cost for petrol is then 10 rupees, for diesel it is 7 rupees, and for electric it is only 1 rupees. There is a massive response seen in the domestic market for electric scooters. The overall electric two-wheeler sales in the country stood at 15,541 units, signifying a 12% month-over jump and 492% year-over leap in the registrations. Recently, an Indian startup company has set up a record of booking out of 1 lakh units of electric two-wheelers worth rupees 1100 crore during closing days. Today, the proportion of the sale of electric 2 and 3-wheeler is about 95% in the overall EV industry. It shows that there is a huge domestic demand for two-wheeler and 3-wheelers EV segments. Our society is gradually understanding the benefit and economics of electric vehicles, and the per kilometer cost for EVs is so low that people will slowly drift away from petrol and diesel vehicles. In battery operated EVs, we can generate 81% value of lithium ion battery in India, and I am personally pursuing the research on alternative battery chemistries such as sodium ion, zinc ion batteries, which would further reduce the cost of EVs in India. Centre and state government are encouraging early penetration of electric vehicles by framing a favorable policy in the form of incentives, GST, exemptions, loan facility, PLI and FAME schemes. We have permitted the sale of electric 2 and 3 wheelers without batteries. This has brought a significant reduction in upfront cost, making EV more affordable and adoptable. We intended to shift public transport modes on electricity. FAME 2 scheme focuses on supporting electrification of public transportation and aims to support through subsidies approximately 7,000 e-buses, 5 lakh electric 3-wheelers, 55,000 electric cars and 10 lakh electric 2-wheelers. We will be a global leader in the manufacturing and exporting of electric vehicles in the coming years. One more area where we all need to work is to shift the construction equipment vehicles and diesel generators to alternative fuels such as ethanol and electric. We need to make strong efforts to cut down the use of diesel as a fuel, as it is extremely hazardous for the environment. The green hydrogen is a zero carbon fuel for the future. It has a high potential to become sustainable fuel for heavy duty trucks, intercity buses, marine train and aviation application. 70% of the green hydrogen production cost come from electricity cost. Hence, the surplus electricity from renewable energy source such as solar, hydropower, wind and enhanced green hydrogen production economics. The government has recently launched Auto Production Linked Incentive Scheme for adopting advanced technology in electric and hydrogen run vehicles. The research performed by IIT Madras on hydrogen fuel cell is very interesting, where they are trying to generate energy from sea-based salt water and solar power. We are specifically focusing research on the production of green hydrogen from non-conventional source as sewage water and wastewater, and this idea can bring a revolution in the cities. With low-cost electrolyzers, we will be able to completely change the energy landscape in India. We should do research and development in biofuel-based fuel cell technology. We have surplus ethanol and biomass production which can be used as a source of energy by large using indigenous technology for making of CNG and bio-LNG from parali, from rice straw, wheat straw, cotton straw or use of any biomass. We can make the LNG, liquid LNG, or even we can make bio-CNG or bio-LNG from that. And that can be also a great thing where sugar factory can take the initiative by using spent wash and bagasse and the press mud and taking the rice straw and other biomass and conversion of this into the liquid LNG, that is the bio LNG or bio CNG. That can be also a good alternative for getting economic viability for the sugar mill. The ammonia is one of the safest hydrogen carriers and is heavily favored as a green aviation and marine fuel. Both battery electric vehicle and fuel cell vehicle technologies are complementary to each other, and soon they will take over IC engine technology. The LNG as a fuel is economically viable for long run trucks and buses. I have just inaugurated the India's first commercial LNG pump. The economics is so good that the cost of conversion is rupees 10 lakh for one truck, diesel truck, which can be recovered in 295 days with an average of 5 km per kg. The generation of bio-CNG from agriculture waste will solve the problem of air pollution caused by the burning of agriculture waste in the fields. The use of bio-CNG as a vehicular fuel is also encouraged in India. We have surplus rice straw, that is parali, available that can be converted into bio-CNG, and 5 ton of rice straw is giving 1 ton of bio-CNG. I have converted my old diesel run tractor into bio-CNG, and the economics allows saving of rupees 1,25,000 for Indian farmers every year. This can completely change the lives of the farmers. Methanol from coal is another sustainable and affordable fuel. It costs about rupees 20 to 25 rupees per litre, where petrol diesel prices are more than 100 rupees per litre. The DME, which is dimethyl ether, can be obtained directly from syngas, primarily carbon dioxide produced from natural gas and low-grade coal. The DME can be substituted up to 20% in domestic LPG cylinders, and this will gradually save our import and save the environment. I am happy to share with you that my constituency Nagpur is the first city in India where almost all biofuels are commercially tested. and adopted in the transport system. Today, the city has witnesses 100% ethanol buses, bio CNG, LNG, biodiesel run vehicles, and autos on LPG. On the future, the choice of fuel would be with the consumers. I see that in the time to come to consumers would have to option of choosing fuels based on application and type of vehicles, and it will be completely market driven. For example, private vehicles can be used on fuels like ethanol and electricity. Public transport can be used on electric and CNG. Heavy and commercial transport can shift on LNG and electric, and hydrogen is such a fuel which can be used across all applications in due course. Further, as India is a highly cost conscious market, the mass adoption of particular alternative fuel is dependent much on its affordability, reliability, and accessibility over a life cycle. Many fuels can have a technical viability, but having economic viability is more important. I sincerely hope that all our initiatives, efforts would bring revolution in the transport energy sector, sugar and ethanol production, and I am looking forward to your recommendations on how we can work together to create the right set of policy frameworks towards a sustainable mobility ecosystem. With these few words, I once again thank the Indian Sugar Mills Association for inviting me and providing this opportunity to share my perspectives on alternative fuel, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, sir, for very interesting and enlightening comments. Much. I have a few questions for you, sir, which I would like to take with your kind permission. So, question number one: the sugar industry and ethanol manufacturers have responded to the government's call for increasing ethanol production capacities. We expect that by 2025, we will produce enough ethanol for 20% blending, requirement of 10 billion liters, as you have said, right? The question in our mind is whether the demand for ethanol will grow from current 3.25 billion liters to 10 billion liters in the next 4 years. So we want to hear from you how the government is planning to simultaneously increase the demand of ethanol in the country by 2025.
Actually, in the transport ministry, it is under our purview that we can take the decision for making mandatory flex engine for the petrol vehicles. So that can increase the demand of ethanol in Indian market. Now I will suggest the Sugar Mill Association that government is giving permission for the ethanol pump. So you can establish your own pumps. Now there is a policy in my own sugar factory also, my son has taken the permission. So we can take use of all these TVS and Bajaj bikes and scooter, even auto rickshaw, we can run on 100% bioethanol and we can increase the demand. Even for the car, particularly from BMW, Mercedes, Toyota, Honda, all brands, they can make flex engine. So 100% in place of petrol, they can use ethanol. So by this way, we can increase the demand of ethanol. Again, the research is going on, that is adding of ethanol into the diesel. We need to work more on that. And we have to take the opinion of the honorable guest from Brazil, who is here, who can give us the opinion about how to add the ethanol into the diesel. And the most important thing which I will request you, that with the interaction with our Brazil authorities, whether it is possible, what is their Air Force program, where they are adding 50% ethanol in aviation fuel. So please give us, you are the concerned people, that who are the authorities concerned with the aviation fuel. Give me the presentation, I will call the meeting. And on the Brazil point of view, because the Airbus and Boeing flights are there. So if it is allowed in the Brazil, why not in India? So using of 50% ethanol in aviation fuel also, it can increase the demand. So my suggestion to Mr. Vermaji, you can find out who is the authority, what is exactly the policy, what are these are standards in particularly in Brazil for their Air Force, then how we can take the decision, how can make the standards for that, how can make the trials, and how can adopt this policy. So this can also be good thing. The other important thing which I will request you that regarding this biomass, that is bagasse and spent wash. Already lot of the sugar mill they have boiler where they are burning spent wash. But my suggestion is if we can make the spent wash, then press mud and the biomass, even the rice straw in biodigester, and if we can make bio LNG from that, there also we can make bio LNG also, because CNG is also possible. But the problem is that the transport of CNG is very difficult. So if we can go for making of bio LNG, it can be also a fuel for the future. And already there is a demand from the heavy vehicles, particularly the truck transport. They can convert their diesel engine into the bio LNG. The one of the company who is the brother of Prashant Luya from Isar in Gujarat, they have already started the starting manufacturing of the trucks, trailers on LNG. And I just seen that model, and now they have some problem with the peso. I have discussion with the peso. We are clear the things, and now they are going launching their trucks on 100% LNG. So our tractor, our trucks, our buses, we can use this bio LNG, which we can produce from press mud, spent wash, and other particularly biomass, and that can be additional income source for the sugar mill, and that can be also a good thing. Even we can think of making of green hydrogen from biomass. Also, there are the technology available, but these are the field where we can make the availability, economic viability for the sugar mill. And my suggestion is that you have to make more research on adding of 15% or 20% of sugar into BIV molasses. It giving us good result, and we can approach to the petroleum. Today, I have a meeting in my house with the petroleum minister and secretary. I'm going to suggest them these points, and also you can give the representation to the food ministry to adding sugar into the BIV molasses. My feeling is the economics is good compared with the other thing. So again, it can be resolve the problem of surplus sugar. So on that line, my expectation from the ISMA that you take the initiative, you have discussed the people, and regarding the Air Force, also give me the presentation. I will call the Chief of the Air Force and also discuss with him. And again, for that aviation, what type of rules, regulation, who are the authority, give me the details, and I will use my good offices to get it using of ethanol in aviation also. We can do it.
Thank you, sir. Your points on aviation, also on spent wash management for fuel, and also adding extra sugar to be heavy. All we have noted down, and ISMA will definitely work on all these things and make the appropriate representations and also revert to you, sir. Thank you. So one more quick question is that, sir, we believe that you are personally very keen that flex fuel vehicles should be rolled out in India as quickly as possible. So for these flex fuel vehicles, sir, if you could guide us on what is the current status and when we can expect flex fuel vehicles to be manufactured and rolled out in India, because we are reading a lot of things, sir, which you are in your.
I have already discussed with the automobile manufacturers. My problem is there is one decision from the Supreme Court that from my ministry we have already submitted the Euro 6 emission norms. The problem is that the flex engine, we are using petrol and ethanol. The Euro 6 norms are not available. But as compared with the Euro 6 petrol engine norms, adding 20% ethanol, the flex engine where we are using 100% ethanol in Euro 4 norms, there is still the pollution is very, very negligible and very, very less. So now I have to make the affidavit to Supreme Court, and by taking from the permission of Supreme Court for giving Euro 4 emission norms permission to the petrol engine, by which we can start ethanol pumps and we can make ethanol there, and by which we can resolve the problem and we can increase the demand of ethanol. We can reduce the pollution also and reduce the import, and that can be a win-win situation. So whatever you are increasing the manufacturing of ethanol, 100% there will be a market. There will be no problem. This is my today's responsibility, that if we will make more ethanol and if the market will not be there, then again it will be a problem for you. And that is the reason that previously we are taking the decision to create market for bioethanol, which is going to reduce our import and also going to reduce our pollution.
Okay, sir. Thank you. We wish you all the best in your efforts with the Supreme Court. You have already covered the diesel ethanol blending with diesel, sir. There's another question, which is that the government is targeted to achieve 10% ethanol blending in 22 and 20% all India average in 25. That is our target, which has been advanced by our respected Prime Minister.
But already Prime Minister has given a task to the ministry, concerning ministry, that before 22, you have to complete this target. So they
Yes.
are on the war footing. They are working hard for that.
Yes, sir. So just one question with regard to the same matter. In other words, what we want to know is, sir, when will the government roll out E12, E15, E18 fuels between 22 and 25? Because that is very crucial from the point of view of the program.
देखो, वैसे पहले कोमड़ा चाहिए कि अंडा चाहिए कि अंडा चाहिए कि आमलेट चाहिए, ये सब कहानियां है. मुझे लगता है आप चिंता मत करो. आप गवर्नमेंट स्टैंडर्ड्स पक्के, जितना इथेनॉल होगा उतना गवर्नमेंट खरीदी करेगी. और आगे हम लोग नई बाइक्स, नई स्कूटर, आप ये शुगर मिल वाले अपने पंप क्यों नहीं खोलते हो? अभी मैं भी पंप खोल रहा हूँ. हमने वो पेट्रोलियम से परमिशन ली है, तो आपको वो पंप खोलने का परमिशन जो चाहिए, तो हमने अभी वो लिया है, तो आप भी ले लो और डालो. दैट कैन बी गुड थिंग.
Yes, sir. We will definitely do that. We are already discussing all these things, sir. So thank you, Shri Gadkari sahib, for answering all our questions patiently. You have been a staunch crusader of ethanol blending program in the country, and sugar industry has gained a lot from your support and guidance to this program. Your presence at the webinar today encourages us to move ahead with this noble agenda of producing clean and